we are joined today by Agency Revolution. We're going to be talking about social media best practices for those of you who are on social media already or haven't yet ventured onto those platforms. Obviously, if you want to stay in business for a while, you're going to start having to bring in more millennials and Gen Z generation, many of whom rely on social media a lot for their information, whether that's a good thing or bad thing. So staying on top of the curve, getting yourself knowledgeable about social media and how to really stay engaging with these platforms is going to be crucial to growing your business long term. So Agency Revolution is the most powerful marketing and communication software built specifically to meet the needs of independent insurance agencies, but they also work with non-independents as well. If you believe that the relationship that you have with your clients is the heart of your business, then you should definitely see how Agency Revolution can make those relationships deeper, stronger, and longer lasting. And that's exactly why we have Joel here today. He is the Chief Evangelicist. I've messed that up. So he'll probably correct me, but
you can roll with just Joel works too.
Joel, just Joel. We've got just Joel here today from Agency Revolution. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Joel, and he's going to take it away. I'm going to shut off my camera, and yeah, if you have any questions, put it into the box.
Thank you for the introduction, Kelsey. Yeah, my name is Joel. I am the Chief Evangelist here at Agency Revolution, and I guess the first thing I should do is thank John. He found the question panel, and he likes my T-shirt, so thank you, John. I appreciate that, and so yeah, if you have any questions, as Kelsey referenced, please feel free to use that box. We'll save some time at the end. But I try to monitor as we do these as well. So if there's something that's pertinent that I think fits into the discussion that we're at, whatever point we're at here, I may jump in and answer that question on the spot. So please engage. I will call this an Ask Anything questions. So fire away, whatever you got. But we are going to talk about social media best practices for your insurance agencies and best practices and a little bit of strategy along the way, because I think best practices lead to great strategy. And so myself, I have a little bit of a claim to fame with social media. I was an independent insurance agent myself once upon a time. I think I gained some great best practices and expertise knowledge through that journey. I will be completely transparent with everybody on here that my journey really began as a blind squirrel finds a nut approach to social media. But fortunately, we found that nut, and looking forward to talk a little bit about that as we walk through this. So what we're going to cover today, let's check some boxes. And so number one, why does it matter? And so part of my role here at Agency Revolution is I talk to independent insurance agencies all day, every day. And it really is amazing how many still believe it doesn't matter. But it absolutely does. It absolutely does, regardless of how big the city you are and how small of agency you may be in that city, or how rural you are, or whatever you think. Social media matters, and it's absolutely relevant regardless, and we'll talk about that. Which platforms should you prioritize? Which ones should you use? And we'll get into that. Crafting an optimized profile. So this is critical. I think a lot of agencies and agents just don't put a lot of thought in that. So we'll talk about that. What types of content should you use? And post. It's a long list. We'll get into what we shouldn't post. I got some great examples of agencies that I think do a great job of being creative, yet getting their point across. And so we'll look at those, and we'll talk about creating a posting schedule. So that is the tough part about social, is creating that schedule and being consistent. We'll look into that and it really does vary from platform to platform. And I'll tell you what, as a surprise to everybody on this call, including my folks at Agency Revolution and Kelsey, I have a secret. I have a secret to social media, and I'm going to share that with you at the end here. So stick with us, or if you have to jump, as Kelsey said, we're going to share the recording. But there's a secret to social media that I'm going to share with you all. that if you really want to garner followers and engagement, there really is a secret, and I'm going to share that with you. So with that said, let's jump to it. Why does social media even matter? So let me be as frank and about this as possible. It's about all of these things, and I know we're in the insurance industry, and if you're in an insurance agency, I'm pretty sure that if we get in a conversation, you would tell me, well, we grow our business from referrals. Yes, you and every other agency in the country. Okay, so yes, every agency seems to believe or wants to that their number one source of business is referrals. Let me assure you of this: that while yes, there's people out there, of course, good clients out there referring people to you, and that's always going to be a great source of business that you're never going to want to walk away from. Why would anybody want to walk away from that? But I assure you, when people reach out and call you, even if their best friend, their family members have told them to reach out to you, they're researching you. They're checking to see if you're relevant, to see if you exist, to see if you actually pay attention to these things. So that's why social media matters in this industry. You need to be there. So, you need to build that digital presence, which is more than a website. It's being relevant on social platforms that are important to your clients, and that may vary from agency to agency. It's a great way to engage prospects and clients if done correctly. You can demonstrate your expertise. I think we all know, or at least you should know. There's two reasons why people choose you. Number one is the relationship, and number two is the expertise. And there's great ways to show both of those, and social media is certainly at the top of that list. You can reinforce your agency branding, what you believe in, which can be really tough because a lot of times the paperwork and the information a client may be getting may be coming from a carrier. It's just a great place for you to build your brand and put that at the forefront. And you can really stand out from your competitors. The reality is that a lot of agencies don't engage or don't engage well. So this is a great place for you to jump out, where the reality is, whether you like social media or not, people are there. So standing up for your competitors in a place where people are is always going to be important. I'll tell you what social media isn't. Okay, and this is a conversation that we hear a lot. Is, well, we tried social media, but we got no business from it. Okay, you're not, or at least not immediately. Okay, it's not a place where you put up your get a quote button and people are going to click like crazy. Okay, this is not what you're going to do. It's not something you can do once. We put a post out there and nobody liked it. Well, it takes time. It takes time, and it's an investment in that time, and it's really part of an entire digital marketing strategy that can be as comprehensive or not as you want it, but it is something that needs to be done over time, and it's certainly not a replacement for other types of marketing. I'm not suggesting that you ignore other things that work. I think any agency that's or any business that's doing their diligence is tracking and seeing where they're getting results or engagement and these types of things, and so it's not going to be a replacement, and to reiterate, it's not a place where you're going to get sales. Now, with that said, as the statistic says, 78% of sales reps that use social media outperform peers that don't. So it's kind of social media isn't for sales, but it leads to more sales. So it is a bit of a conundrum there for a lot of people to how to approach that, and that's what we'll look at. The next tough part is there's so many. Like, there's platforms that, and I consider myself pretty on top of it, and yet my kids will come in and there's some that they're into and I'm not into. So where should you prioritize? And I think there's the big three: the Facebook, the LinkedIn, and Twitter. Those are your big three, and I think you really should analyze your client. Think about your client. We were on actually doing a webinar the other day, and it's kind of, we were talking about this, and it kind of reinforced something that I heard a long time ago. But it makes a lot of sense. And when it was said, it was said more along to some of the old school marketing techniques. But you want to be where your clients' eyes are. So think about your clients. If you're a predominantly personal lines book, I think you may want to lean more towards the Facebook, Twitter world. Obviously, if you're heavy commercial, if you're not on LinkedIn, you're missing out. It's obviously the place to be. And then there's all kinds of other places as well. But if we're going to talk Facebook, as far as the big three, the pros is it's massive. Everybody's on Facebook, and I know you may be on this call and you may say, well, I'm not. Well, you're not, but the majority of people are. In my household, everybody from our children to myself, my wife, down the road, my grandmother's on Facebook, so everybody's there. So the audience is massive, and it has some really, really great targeting tools. It's actually amazing how specific and targeted you can get with Facebook tools. So that is really awesome. And their ads are really inexpensive. Now, I will caution you when it comes to paid ads, it's not for the faint of heart. You really should have a strategy. You really should have somebody that's going to monitor that, because it's not as simple as throwing some money at it. But with respect to Facebook, the ads are inexpensive and you can get really super targeted. Cons, as you can see, organic posts have low visibility, so you got to kind of build the traffic, and you may have to boost there. It's not like it used to be, but nonetheless, you can still get stuff out there that gets noticed. It just may take some time, and their sharing algorithm changes very often, so it's not a simple science. And once again, trying to do it yourself as an agency owner, an agency producer, can be really tough. If you really want to be engaged, you're going to have to find some expertise perhaps to help you with that. Another interesting stat, it's not just for the commoners of the world. I mean, the reality is 70% of high income earners use Facebook, which surpasses the other two in the big three. So once again, getting back to that pro side, it's a massive audience. So many people are on Facebook that really it's a place. LinkedIn, once again, I'll reiterate that I have to admit, personally, I was not that engaged in LinkedIn until I became in a world to start more working in the world where I was working with business to business. So when I was an insurance agent, I was predominantly personal lines, so I played in the Facebook, Twitter world. Now that I'm in the B2B world, obviously working with agencies, LinkedIn is the go-to. And so if you're not there, you really should be. And you can see some of the pros. The message and conversion ads are effective, and the profile pages are designed to show your agency or your benefits, so it's laid out really well to do that. Cons, they do have some subscription there, even more so than others, that it's a little bit to pay to play there a little bit, but it can be well worth it. And it could be considered, it's very B2B focused. So it's not that the people out there don't necessarily have interest or need for maybe their personal lines insurance. It is. I almost think that if you're out there pushing, looking for that, it's almost on it as why are you bringing that personal stuff here? This is a place for business. So you just have to be cognizant of the content that you're putting out there. And you can see there another great stat: 89% of B2B marketers use LinkedIn for lead gen. I know I can speak personally. LinkedIn's a great place to bring brand recognition, as well as introduce yourself to perhaps people that you wouldn't necessarily at a business that you're trying to engage with. Twitter's an interesting one. I see agencies all the time that are effective with it. I think it requires a level of engagement that's tough for a lot of agencies, but it can be powerful. So obviously, the pros are, it's very personal, right? You can get very personal. You can get very intimate with the communication. It's relatively easy to grow a community, and it's easy for you to follow trending topics and stay on top of it. The cons is the community obviously can be very volatile. The paid ads are expensive, contrary to that of Facebook, and the life cycle of posts on social media are short anyway. Twitter takes it to a whole nother level, very short. So Facebook, they can last, they can get rehashed maybe a little bit. LinkedIn, they tend to stay along around a little long, but Twitter, they come and go really quick. Finally, just another great Twitter stat though, 54% of users surveyed by Twitter reported they had engaged a business or service provider after seeing them mentioned in tweets. So I think if you can find a way to get people engaging or tagging you within Twitter, that people will see it inevitably. Some of those other platforms, and I'm going to highlight a few of these later. Instagram, TikTok, there's so many, and it's really tough to stay on top of them. There's certainly no reason why you can't be effective with them, but it does require a much more intimate knowledge, and that can be tough for an agency to stay on top of. But be cognizant of them. You may find a niche that works well for you there. So how do we craft an optimized profile? And let me start this is I understand that not everybody can have the face and the voice of an angel like me. So having that ideal picture can be tough, but take a minute and realize this is your digital representation. All jokes aside, people will see this. And I think far too few people think about how they're going to portray themselves out to the business community. What you may love and what you may like may not necessarily be for the masses. So consider the shot you're putting up there. Good eye contact, a good color photo, not a I know we love to share those images of us out in the community or engage with our family because it's important, and there's a place for those, just not necessarily in your headshot or your profile. So ditch the busy backgrounds and this type of thing. Try to showcase your personality as best you can, and really put some thought into what you're doing, not only on the picture but that cover as well, so it doesn't distract from what it is you're trying to do. Then we have to think about what it is that we're doing. So your brand promise. What are we talking about? Who is going to read this? So I understand that we want to be everything to everybody, but reality is we can't. So at an agency level, you have to think about what is your ideal client. If you don't know, you should go through that process and figure that out. But think about who's reading it. Why would they be reading? So why is somebody reading your profile? So I am Joel here at Agency Revolution. Who is reading this? Ideally, it would be independent insurance agencies, I'm hoping. And I'm talking about my LinkedIn profile because, like I said, your Facebook may be different, or your Twitter. But for me, who is reading this, hopefully, ideally, it's independent insurance agencies. Why are they reading it? Because they want to learn more about maybe some of the articles I'm out there with, or maybe another podcast or webinar I'm engaged with. So they're reading to find more information. What do they need from me? I think they want to know what Agency Revolution is all about. So I want to make that as clear as possible and at their fingertips. And how are they going to get that information? So that is the thought process when you're putting together your profile, whether it's your individual or for your business. Think about who's seeing that, and make sure it's easy to read and conveying the information that you need. From there, so let's just take a little more in-depth look at what an ideal brand promise may look like. So I know exactly who this agency is. This is obviously an individual, but could easily be converted to the agency or business as a whole. They talk about a little bit of their personality, let that shine through, but obviously talk talks a little bit about what they're all about and what their focuses are and what their expertise are. So you can really see what it is. I don't think it leaves any confusion about where they are, who they are, and who it is they're talking about. So now we get into the real nuts and bolts here of what type of content should you post, and there really should be there's no silver bullet, there's no cookie cutter here, and so quite specifically, authenticity. I often say when I'm talking social media, or if you've been on this, like I always point to my heart. The best social posts, particularly, always come from the heart. And that's whether you as an individual, as an agent, as an agency owner, or your business, your agencies. And so, they need to come from the heart. But think about it, like how technical in language. If we are going to start talking insurance, we may want to go easy on the insurance lingo, because while it may make sense to you and I, it probably makes no sense for that end user. Getting back to who's reading it, it's your client, it's your customer, and their level of knowledge of what you're talking about may not be as high as yours. So we want to think about how technical our language is going to be. Our tone, try to be as friendly as possible, regardless of social platform. You may change your level of technicality if you're Facebook to LinkedIn to Twitter, this type of thing. But I think they're all, at the end of the day, social is exactly that. Social media is social. It's relationship building. So you always want to try to be as friendly as possible. Professional, yes, and caring. I will say professional. I'm going to throw an asterisk next to it. And here's where the asterisk goes. I think particularly in this industry, we worry about it too much. I think we can overanalyze. I'm not suggesting we start throwing stuff out there willy-nilly and not intentionally being unprofessional, but I don't think you have to take 2 or 3 months to create something just because you feel like maybe your camera's not quite right, the lighting's not quite right, and all these things. For example, I'm doing a webinar today and my lighting's not perfect. If I look up, you can see I have obviously a ring light above me, and it drives me nuts when I go up. But I could spend 3 hours here and miss this webinar to try to get this lighting perfect, but it's not. So, but I think at the end of the day, it's the message, hopefully, that shines value, not the fact that my ring light glares in my glasses from time to time. So, professional, yes. Don't let it slow you down too much. It doesn't always have to be 100% perfect to make it work. The character. Who's speaking? Is it just the company or your personality? And there's things that I may say at a personal level that maybe at a company level we would not, or vice versa. So think about who you're representing, how you're representing it, how that should come across. Think about these things. But I think more than anything, I think this last point is very, very true and sometimes lost. Let them see behind the curtain. Like, that's what it's all about. People want to see something real. People want to just know that there's a real person out there, whether it's, even if you're speaking on the behalf of a business or you individually. I think people want to know that it's real, that it's coming from somebody that's believable. The content. So, when we get into exactly what we talk about, expertise, personality. I said earlier, the reason people choose you is because you have expertise in a subject, and so they believe that you can provide that. And then your personality is the relationship, and so I think you need to consider those. And I think when we talk about these types of posts, it is relevant that there needs to be a good mix. You can't spend all your time feeding people insurance type posts. They're a great foundational piece. Should you be doing that? Absolutely. It shows your expertise. That's part of the equation, but it can't be the only part of the equation. We have to get in the personality, and we're going to look at some great examples here of posts of each that you can see how people bring out their personality, all while sometimes getting the expertise or maybe a little bit of a pitch in there that doesn't feel like a pitch, but yet gets the point across. And so they're not necessarily independent of each other. They can go in combination, but I think you have to consider both when we think about it. So we'll get into some content examples now. So when we're talking about your expertise, this is tough. This is really tough because I understand you're busy. And so I know we want to be accurate, and this is really where the level of professional. So obviously that's one thing we do here at Agency Revolution. We provide great content that will highlight your expertise. And so whether it sometimes it's easy to type out, but creating a great video and can sometimes be tough. So we're gonna leave the presentation here a little bit because I don't want to slide you all over the place here. So I'm gonna leave this, and I'm just gonna jump into our campaign library, or content library, excuse me, within our solution. So our Attract solution is our website platform, but really the key is it houses a great content library. And so you can see here within our platform, we have a full content team that's constantly producing great content for you, so you don't have to really getting into those expertise pieces, and you can easily share them. So whether it's articles or videos, and so you can see in my content library I have a large number of content, but I might just filter this out a little bit. A lot of people like videos on content specific on expertise. So I can get in here and I can easily find a great piece of content. If a pipe breaks, if I want to share that out, I can make it really easy to get it out on social. So leveraging a content library like this, whether it's us, obviously preferred if it was us, but there's others out there that can provide great content for you. If you'd like to see some examples of this content, you can always come over here to the Agency Revolution main page and simply go to Website and Tools. And here on our page, there's a listing. You'll find some great examples of content that we create that'll provide you with a great foundation. And so you don't have to be out there creating each one of these tabs is sample content for you to view. And so you don't have to remember to be doing it on a daily basis or whatever cadence we're going to go with. We also have the ability to automate that content for you as well. So it alleviates the stress and the time that you need to create that some of that industry specific content and go from there. So but then we get into the post showing personality. That's obviously a little tougher for a company like us to do for you. You want to highlight things like events. You're all involved with events. I know you are. You're an independent insurance agent. You're in the community. You're building. You're doing something. Don't forget to get pictures and let people know, and create. If you have the ability to create an event section within your website, we can certainly help you with that. But make sure to get it out there. Don't be scared to have fun. Don't be scared to share that out there, and really that's what's going to build that following is to show the behind the curtain, what you're all about, and thinking about it. Highlight your team. Somebody's birthday, somebody's anniversary, somebody's involved, somebody's got a new grandchild or child or a pet or whatever. Highlight those things. Get them out there. Let them know that there's real people. People buy and people work with people they like. We're in a relationship business. Show them who they're building the relationship with. Highlight those themes out there. So get out there and highlight your team members. At the end of the day, more often than not, they're going to be the ones talking with the end consumer. So we should absolutely. And you want to repurpose things. Like, just because you had a great Facebook post doesn't mean it can't go on LinkedIn or Twitter or somewhere else. We're going to look at a great example of that. So repurposing things, or just tweaking them a little bit, or maybe cutting them down to make another great post. So let's exit here once again, and let's look at some great examples of people who I think highlight idea of using great content. So we just looked at repurpose. So this is Van Scooter Insurance Agency. For the record, I've not talked to any of these agencies to let them know I'm going to be highlighting them. I do know all of them, so I'm pretty sure they're okay with what we're talking about here. So, but Van Scooter, Rhett Van Scooter here, he obviously is highlighting his referral program here. He's got a referral winner coming up here, and so you can see he's done a nice video. I won't consider this overly professional. Of course, it's good quality, but I mean, at the end of the day, the lighting is just, it's in the office. He's repurposed it. It's on Facebook, but you can see it's also from TikTok. So there's no reason why you can't have that in multiple places. I'm tempted to press play here, but I'm worried about what it might do to the audio. So, but you can certainly check that out. Highlights the referral program they have, which can be a lot of fun. It provides winners. It's giving back. All those great things. So then over here, we'll take a look at Chalmers Insurance, and Chalmers Insurance it does a really great job of highlighting their expertise here. And so you can see, obviously, sometimes showing expertise, we want to talk at a really high level or use complicated words, and that gets lost and really doesn't necessarily translate well on social. But you can see here they're highlighting one of their own that was highlighted by the big I. And then another great thing they do. This is I love this. So they leverage their social following to highlight their community. So they're engaging with their community. It's called the Community Cast, and they do webinar or podcasts, excuse me, with people in their community, highlighting what's going on, what people should know, and that just garners a following, that garners interest, that gets a following of people that show they're genuine, they believe in their community, and that's one of the key pieces of developing a good content strategy, which I'll get into here in a moment. Another example of this, and I think this is a great example of leveraging people to highlight your expertise, B, that people believe in you, but it creates a great post. So this is McLean Insurance Services, and it's Testimonial Tuesday. So it's an engaging post. It's highlighting someone they know. It's a client since 2006. It's highlighting their agency. It's a little bit about me, but it's okay because it's Testimonial Tuesday. There's my friend. I know that person. There's the social proof built in there. They do a great job of that, of highlighting that. And you know that that's not the only thing they're doing, because if you follow this social feed, it starts following more things about their community, right? It's not just about throwing people's names out there, why they love me. That's a great mix. But I did absolutely love that Testimonial Tuesday. They're taking a moment to kind of celebrate not just the client, but what they do and their expertise, and someone that's been around and things they've done. So I really like that. So those are some Facebook examples. I'm going to go to our friends over here at InsureZone Insurance Services. I'm just on their LinkedIn page here, and they do. They obviously have a great marketing team here at InsureZone, so they get really creative. And I really like this post. They're highlighting it's someone within the agency's birthday. You know what? And they just took a moment, they threw that on LinkedIn, and made a really great creative post on that. And then you can see this next post over here. Obviously, it's National Ice Cream Day, which speaks to my heart. I'm no stranger to an ice cream parlor if I can find one. Once again, funny, engaging, highlighting a staff person. Those things those are the things that build a great social following. Then you add those foundational pieces of expertise, specific, that maybe are provided by someone else, and you have a winning combination. So finally here, I'm going to highlight an agency, actually a brokerage. And so where I get my expertise from. And so I have a pleasure of working with this agency for a number of years. And I think the best way I can highlight this is I think everybody likes to talk about going here to their main page of their social following and see that they have 22,000 followers on their Facebook page. And for the record, this agency is in a very, very rural part of the world. If you didn't notice on my LinkedIn, you'll see it's in Nova Scotia. So for those of you that don't know, Nova Scotia, that's, we're up here in the north. If I walk out my door, I fall in the Atlantic Ocean and nobody lives here. So it's rural. Okay, so very rural area. Not much of a populace, but this agency has over 22,000 followers on their Facebook page. And when we were working there, when I was working there, we had virtually no followers. And we did some work, and we ended up at that point. I guess that would be about 11, 12 years ago now. I can't speak to this number now, but at the time, we were the most liked agency on Facebook. And how we did that was this, which was a firehall contest. And you know what? I've heard of other ones out there, and take pride that these guys did it first. And this was where really it boils down to, I always say blind squirrel finds a nut, but there was some great strategy behind this. And what that strategy is take a look in the mirror. Take a look in the mirror and what's your agency all about? What's your business about? And yeah, you're selling insurance and you're protecting things, but there's got to be something more. There's something more than that. There's something you believe in. And so I just think I'd take a minute and kind of walk you through the process here that led to this. And so this agency has multiple locations across the province of Nova Scotia, and engaged in the communities, always was engaged in communities, and very much was making donations to fire departments. And so here where I live, all the fire departments are volunteer. With one small exception, in our main center city, Halifax, they're paid, but across the entire province, everything is volunteer. And really, you pride yourselves here. What we're all about is the community. It is the small communities that we would do business in. That's what it was all about. And at the heart of every community, every small community here where I live, is the volunteer. That's what makes the tires turn, the wheels roll. So whether it's fundraising or opening or doing something, it's all about the volunteers make it happen. And really the next step at the core of that for our industry was the volunteer fire department. Has a huge impact at us in the P&C industry. Those are the ones that go and really help us mitigate our loss. And the carriers, so they're the ones out there fighting the fight. And so for us, it was, okay, we want to do something that speaks to our core, which is the volunteer, and highlight that in a space. So it was the fire department. A lot of our agents were volunteer firefighters in their communities, and we were making donations anyways. So we decided we would launch our rebrand or relaunch our Facebook, and we would have a contest. And so we're going to have a contest about fire departments. And so what we asked, what the plan was we're simply going to ask local fire departments to send us a picture, and the fire department at the end of the month, and we used Fire Prevention Month, which is October, and so basically it was at the end of the month, the department that got the most likes on their picture, we were going to make a donation. And then it's a substantial donation, but in fairness, we were a substantial agency with multiple locations, so it can all be relative. But at the end of the day, that was our plan. And our goal was that maybe at the end of it, if we could get 10 or 15 fire departments involved, and if we could grow our social following from about, I think it was like 72 or something when we started, to over 1,000, that was going to be a big win for us. And so the beauty of this and when we did this was we had no idea about the power of social. I think we all know that there's power out there, and so we went from those 72 likes and to in year one just a little over 16,000 followers in that month, to the point that we actually had to hire a third-party company to monitor our Facebook page, looking at the likes between several of the top fire departments, and because they had gone engaged with it so much that they actually were proactively calling members of the community to ensure that they went to our social page, our Facebook page, make sure you like us, and then also support their fire department. And so we had to hire a third party because those top several fire departments were actually pulling in thousands of votes in the last hour, and so we decided that we should hire a third party to make sure the accuracy was there when the curtain call went down and the contest was actually over. So and so I think that people highlight that. So you go from nothing to 16,000 in rural communities, over 16,000 in a matter of 30 days. People want to know how and why, and I just reiterate, there's no silver bullet here, folks. It's the beauty and the reason this worked. It was because the business took a moment to reflect on themselves, to understand what they were about and how they were going to support that within their communities, within their business. And good things happen to companies that do good things. So whether it's fire departments, this is not a silver bullet. You can go out and you can try, and maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. But there's numerous other agency examples out there that have done, whether it's fire departments or veterans or Habitat for Humanity or all kinds of things out there. And I don't think you just pick a straw. It's look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what are you about? What do you believe in? And you can't pay someone to figure that out. That needs to come from internal. So that was a little soapboxy there, but I thought I'd share that with you. For my 2 cents, if you're looking for agencies and businesses that do social right, I shared some with you here, and these guys are no different. So we'll get back in here to the presentation itself, and now we have to talk about creating a posting schedule. So now that we get past all the content that you could do, the things you may or may not do, and we need to talk about a schedule. So every platform has its own cadence, its own best practices. So as you can see, Facebook, one post a day is lots for Facebook. You may post more some days, you may post less, but on average, if you can go with one post a day, ideal time is between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Really, that's the ideal time. Twitter, this is why Twitter's a little tougher. 3 to 5 tweets a day can be a lot, and so you need to leverage content sources as well as yourself to get that many out. And you should really try to get those out before 3 p.m. So that's Twitter is intense, and try to get that ideally before 3 p.m. and you'll do it best. And then LinkedIn, one post a day, very similar to Facebook. Obviously, can be just a little bit different content, but one post a day between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. So that's a little bit more on the morning side, but just statistics say. And really over on the right, as you can say, content is king, but consistency is key. You can't do it for a week and say, nothing happened. It needs to be, it's a little bit of a, it's a long play, it's an investment, so you need to be consistent. As it states, and with 81% of shoppers performing online research before making a purchase, an active social media feed can only help. I'll get back to one of the very first things we talked about, referrals. We all know that we want to grow our business. We've relied on referrals for years. Those referrals are checking you out. They're going to your social pages, your Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, the others, making sure that you exist. Are you real? Are you relevant? And I certainly believe, and I believe the proof is in the pudding, for lack of a better term, that you may be getting lots of referrals now, but if you start engaging properly, you'll see even more, because people that are referred will get excited and want to engage with you and perhaps refer more. Next powerful question: automated versus in person. I mean, I think so. I think in order, realistically, for an agency, for a business to be impactful, you need both. Just because it is time consuming and it's just not something that you're going to be able to do with the consistency needed. So if once again, if I'm going to highlight this within our solution, if I go to automated marketing here, our social foundations allows you to decide what days of the week do you want content to post, and this really allows you to schedule your time so you don't have to worry about it. You can choose that, you know what, I'm going to let this thing take care of the weekends and Mondays and Fridays, then maybe I'll focus middle of the week on my more personal posts that I'm going to create myself, and simply click save, and away it goes. Also worth noting, I guess, here is if you're not using one, a social scheduler can save you a lot of time when you're creating your own social posts, whether you're going to leverage a content library like we leverage here, or just creating yourself. So a great social scheduler allows you to create a social post and get it out to the platforms you want, or even schedule those out. So for example, our clients have the ability here to create multiple social posts and then schedule them out through the week, so you don't have to remember to do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. You can sit down on Sunday or Monday morning, whenever you want to do it, create your social post for the 2, 3, 4, whatever days a week you need to, and set that schedule in action. So with that said, any questions, please go into, and I see there's a bunch here. I've answered a few along the way. I know that that Kelsey said we would go through them, so Kelsey's jumping back on. Certainly invite her to do so. I will. There we are. I think I've covered a lot of these questions, Kelsey, but there's a few here that I see that maybe haven't, that I certainly happy to engage with. If I do see someone did ask how many of the 16,000 are AMRO customers. Kelsey, I can't answer that because I don't work there. And for the record, they have 22,000 followers, not 16. That was the first year they did it. So I'm not really sure. And does it really matter whether they're customers or not? I think you could make a case that if you have a large following, do you want them all to be customers? Or do you want them all to be prospects? I think a good mix, realistically, for me, is what makes sense to me. And there's a question here, or a comment by Miriam that says, and I'm just going to read it. So it has been my experience that when we use automated posts, the algorithm for LinkedIn or Facebook doesn't like it. For example, when I do my own posts, I see that LinkedIn will get 100x more views versus when people automate it. There's algorithms involved there, but I also think what you're seeing there is the fact that the personality piece. We're talking about foundational pieces to be consistent, and people will always engage more than likely with ones that are about a human or about a person or have that personal touch. So I think what you have to remember is automated posts provide the consistency and some foundation pieces, but the level of engagement you get from those is probably never going to be as much as something that maybe you create personally. And so I was to reflect back to, as I mentioned earlier, I was on another webinar earlier this week, and someone made the reference as that video is missing in this industry, believe it or not, and particularly from agents. So I showed one where Red Van Scooter was using video, really personal touch there, sees that person. Don't be scared to get out there and use your phone to create a personalized expert video on something, and I think you'll see some great engagement and great following on that. Would be my advice there. Kelsey, I don't know if your practice is to read questions or you want me just to keep rocking and rolling here, but I will
Well, I actually can't see any of the questions.
Well, there you go.
That.
I will.
Uh,
That makes it a little easier. And if you have questions, please fire away. What is your
yeah.
advice when it?
Oh,
Uh,
sorry. Yeah, definitely answer that one. I do have a couple questions of my own if they might already be asked though. So.
no, go ahead. Fire away. Question me.
Well, I was going to ask, just for our viewers who maybe aren't as familiar with certain terms with social media, we talked a little bit about like tagging and hashtagging. I was just wondering if you could define what those are, and then also like how they can be used, like how you're supposed to use them on social media, essentially.
Yeah, great question. Which leads me to my gift, my one big secret to how you get a great social following, and it's engage. Engage, engage, engage. Is if you want people to follow you, then you need to follow people. If you want people to comment on your post, you need to comment on theirs. If you want people to like your page, you need to like people's pages. So get out there and engage, which leads me to tagging and hashtagging, and um, has various different applications on the different platforms. But at the end of the day, if you want engagement, you're going to have to do things. So hashtags will group you into with similar postings of a topic. So hashtag insurance or hashtag my community or hashtag an event. So if enough people or enough businesses start talking about a given subject, then that will start trending and of course push any of those posts towards the top. Tagging people almost gets like an instant engagement. Certainly to me, I know on LinkedIn, if I'm reading, but then all of a sudden I get a, hey, at Joel Zwicker is going to be on this webinar, guaranteed I'm going to comment on that thing, and I'm going to tag someone else. So tagging gives instant notification or kind of identification of other people, and then of course that sends notifications other places. So engage. If you're gonna comment on something, comment with a tag someone else, tag that business in the comment. So as an example, if I was going to wish Kelsey a happy birthday, really basic thing, I could just put happy birthday. But really to be effective, if I put at and tag Kelsey, hope you have a great day on your birthday, that's going to lead in more. If I wanted to go really crazy, I could hashtag it birthdays rock or something, or whatever trending hashtag. I don't know what a birthday hashtag that might be trending is, but that's the secret. Engage, engage, engage. If you want people to engage with you, do it, and then use those tags and hashtags to get the visibility increased. Was there
Awesome.
another question?
Yes, I was wondering if you had advice on ways to encourage customers to tag these insurance agencies in their comments and get them to, provide positive feedback that can be reposted. Like, how do you get your consumers to engage with you and tag you? You kind of already answered that, but if there's like
It kind of
incentive.
gets back to like, you give what you get, right? And those people that do good things and great things get it back. And so if you want people to tag you, then tag people. You can, regardless of whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or anything else, you could wish, and I'm using the happy birthday as the example here, people. This isn't the end all be all. I could wish Kelsey happy birthday from me, but I can also wish her happy birthday from my company, my agency as well. So it's a two-way street, and really asking doesn't hurt either, right? Asking doesn't hurt either. It's okay to ask. Say, hey, listen, I'm glad you enjoyed your time here at an event. Make sure you tag us in the picture, tag us in that picture or whatever have you, and do those things. So asking doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and that being said, like if there are community events that you're holding, having some like hashtag that people can hashtag, like, community event 2021, whatever, encouraging people to use those hashtags then is like a collective group of those photos, is essentially how hashtags can also work.
Exactly.
Um, how much time should be spent on social media? We kind of went over this, but like, is it absolutely necessary to have a social media manager, or is it worth it to hire like an intern maybe to do the handling of social media? What are your thoughts?
Yes. So I think you'll get out of it what you put into it. Quite simply, if you want to put a little bit of time, you'll get a little bit out of it. You want to put a lot of time into it, you'll get a lot out of it. I think the beauty is that we do have the ability to leverage automation tools, so we don't have to put a lot of times in. I think a lot of us just forget that we're doing a lot of it already. Like, we're taking pictures all the time. Every one of us has a camera and a video right in front of us. Like, snap that picture and throw it out there from time to time. But I think through automation and leveraging content libraries like we offer here at Agency Revolution will allow you not to be burdened with so much time. On the flip side of that, also when you get to those personal posts, leveraging social schedulers, like, it is really, if you had to log into LinkedIn and Facebook and do the post over and over, it does start to chew up time. So leveraging a social scheduler will really help expedite those. But I think realistically, I think in an agency, to hire an intern or someone to do it, you certainly could do that. You could hire an Agency Revolution to help you with that, or it could just be a concerted effort internally to say, hey, when you have time, everybody takes a day, or if you have a post, let's get it to one place, and then that somebody internally is responsible to make that post. And realistically, if you're doing that, probably an hour or two a week. If you're using a schedule, you can plan it out for the week and it's done, right? That would be the best advice I could give there.
Awesome. Well, those were the questions that I had. I don't know if there's any more in the questions box that you can see.
There is, there's some Agency Revolution specific questions that I would just encourage people, go to agencyrevolution.com. Click get a demo. You'll be put in contact with someone right away. You'll be able to schedule time to have those conversations, or feel free to use the chat window there. Someone will chat with you there as it pertains to us. So agencyrevolution.com or grow@agencyrevolution.com, or there's a phone number here on the screen as well. Feel free to call. But for those Agency Revolution specific questions, I just encourage you to reach out to us directly.
Awesome. Well, we are at 2 o'clock on the dot Eastern, so we hit our time. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to Agency Revolution and Joel for being here as well. I know I'm definitely going to use some of these practices with the Quote Wizard marketing as well, and my influencer page. Just kidding, I don't have one, but thank you again. If you guys do have any questions after the fact, feel free to email me at agenteducation@quotewizard.com. Like I said, everyone will receive a recording of this webinar as a follow-up, and we are going to be taking a break from our webinar series just for the next 2 or 3 weeks. I do have a couple conferences I have to go to, crazily enough. So we will be taking a pause, but we'll be back mid-August with Team Hired to be talking about how to get your producers writing within 30 days. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
And I'd also remind you,
Joel.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes.
But hey, practice what you preach. If you enjoyed this webinar, connect with me on LinkedIn, or better yet, tag me in a post telling me how much you enjoyed it. So Joel Zwicker, JoelZwicker, and tag me in it, and we'll get some engagement going.
Awesome. Yeah, feel free to tag Quote Wizard too. We are on LinkedIn. Cool. Well, have a great rest of your day, Joel. And thank you again for everyone who joined us today.
Thanks a million.
Goodbye.